What's up guys, this is Al, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about one of the most frequently asked questions that I get here at the nursery, and that is going to be, am I going to get bugs if I plant fruit trees in the ground? Well, the quick answer is, of course you are going to get bugs, because bugs are just part of nature, it's part of the ecosystem. But today I'm going to be telling you how that happens and some of the ways that you can actually minimize your interactions with bugs, and not just bugs, but also pests like mice and rats. So if you want to find out how I deal with them, well, make sure to stay to the end. So one of the main questions that I get here at the nursery is, am I going to get bugs if I plant fruit trees in the ground? And my answer is, of course you're going to get bugs. Bugs are part of nature, it's just the way it works. Are you going to increase the chances of getting bugs and all that stuff in your yard if you start planting fruit trees in the ground and edibles? And the answer is, of course you are, because it's just the way it works. There's no way around it. But today I'm going to be showing you what kind of bugs are you expected to have and how you can deal with them. So some of the first bugs you are going to encounter when planting anything in the ground, especially edibles and vegetables and things like that, are going to be aphids and thrips. Those guys, usually you're not going to notice them personally as much. You're going to notice it on your vegetables, on your plants. These bugs are very harmless and it's not going to actually do anything to you. Usually what they do is they will cause cosmetic damage on your plants. The leaves are gonna curl, they're gonna look nasty, aphids are gonna eat them up. But other than that, it's just very cosmetic damage and it's not something to be worried about. But for a new gardener out there, the first thing you're gonna notice is damage on your plants. What can you do to fix it? Well, you can use soapy water, 1 teaspoon per gallon of water, and you can just sprinkle your plants with it and they are gone. But these bugs are nothing compared to the ones that come next. As your garden matures, usually about 6 months to a year plus, you're gonna start noticing bigger bugs, the ones that you actually don't want in your yard. What are we talking about? Usually crickets. Crickets are gonna be one of the main ones and first bigger bug that you're gonna have in your garden. Whether you have fruit trees, shade trees, edibles, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna have crickets. What else comes after crickets? Well, it's gonna be roaches. I know a lot of you guys like roaches, but roaches are just part of the ecosystem. There's not much you can do about them, and they're just gonna come. What's gonna come after them or with them? It's gonna be roly-polies. As you can see, I got roly-poly right there. And then those roly-polies, you actually want them in your yard because, believe it or not, these bugs right here, they are the ones that are feeding your plant. Anytime that you water, anytime that you put your fish emulsion in there, your compost or anything else, they are the ones that eat that up. They are the ones that will break that down to a particle, to a size small enough when mixed with water. Then the root system of your plant is going to be able to eat it. But yes, you're gonna get bugs, you're gonna get crickets, you're gonna get roaches, you're gonna get the whole shebang. And you know what happens usually when you get those guys? You're gonna get the other guys that eat them up. And that brings us to the predators. At first, you're gonna get all the harmless stuff. The crickets are not going to harm you. The roaches are not going to harm you. They look disgusting, but they don't do anything to you. They're actually good for the soil. They're actually good for your plants, like I said. But you know what? When you start getting those guys, you're going to get stuff that eats them. And there's going to be the spiders. It's going to be the scorpions. It's going to be everybody else, bigger than they are, that's going to eat them up. So, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing for your garden? Well, every garden has to have a balance. So at first, you're gonna get the stuff that you don't want, which is gonna be the aphids, the thrips, the roaches, the crickets. But then after that, in order to balance your garden, you're gonna get all the predators, the bigger stuff. And that's gonna be, like I said, the spiders. It's going to be scorpions. And whatever else eats roaches and crickets out there. So if you don't want them, how can you have a fruit forest, a garden? How can you be self-sufficient without insects, without bugs, without pests? And my answer to you is, it's just not gonna happen. It is part of nature. You're gonna have to get used to it. Being in nature means being with everything else that comes with it. And you can minimize it. You can do some things to prevent your interactions with them. like I am right here, I'm just clearing all the mulch out. Mulch is great for the soil, mulch is great for your plants, but I can tell you mulch is also great for all the critters. And that brings us to pests. Here in my area, I have issues with gophers. Gophers, they live underground and they make tunnels and they eat the root system of plants. When I have mulch in the ground, I'm not able to see their mounts. I'm not able to see their damage. I'm not able to see the damage they are causing. So for that reason, I'm raking all the mulch out. Is that going to kill my plants? No, it's not going to kill my plants, because you know what's more important than mulch to your plants and my plants? It's going to be water. So as long as I keep watering my plants, I'm not going to have any issues. But the mulch is going to minimize bugs. It's going to minimize areas where they are going to concentrate. And obviously, if you don't like them, well, obviously, don't keep mulch around. You want to rake it up. And that's going to be one of the main questions people ask. Do I have to mulch my plants? How can I have fruit trees without mulch? Well, how can I have fruit trees if I really don't want bugs? I have people here, they see a little spider and they're like jumping because they simply are not able to tolerate them. And my answer to those people is just minimize areas where the bugs are going to congregate, and that's going to be mulch. It's going to be litter, it's going to be dead stuff, decomposing matter. So get rid of that stuff, and that's going to minimize them, or at least you interacting with them. Here at my nursery, I have everything. I have the entire ecosystem. I have from the smallest insects you can imagine to the bigger ones, to the biggest ones that actually live among us. I have all the insects in here, ones that I don't see anywhere else besides my property. I have all the pests, all the mice, all the rats, all the colors, all the birds. And you know what else I got here? I got all the reptiles. Because once you start having, the crickets, the roaches, the spiders, the mice, and then the fruit trees. Once you start having fruits, you're gonna get the bigger critters, and that's going to be the mice and rats. Mice are going to come first, the rats are going to come after them, and those guys are losing battle. They are so smart that it's just impossible to get rid of them. But you know what, once you have mice and once you have rats, the next thing that's going to come after them, it's going to be the reptiles. Yes, it depends on your area. For my area, it's going to be mainly the snakes. I do have lizards in here, but I don't have lizards big enough to eat rats. They will eat the mice, but not the rats. But other than that, I think that the top of the food chain in my area is just simply going to be snakes. Actually, no, not snakes. Because you know what comes after snakes? It's going to be the freaking birds. Yes, all different sizes. I get hawks in here. I get eagles. I get everything. And those guys eat the snakes and the rats. But you know what? So what can you do in order to minimize your issues, your interactions with them, so you don't get as many? So the main thing for people is going to be the roaches, the crickets, the scorpions, because most people don't want those, okay? So my first recommendation for you is going to be, let me show you, clutter. I'm not the most organized person, but I can tell you, if you want to minimize things coming into your house, you want to keep the clutter away from your house. That's my house right there. There is a shed, which I'm going to be moving soon because it's a rat house. Yeah, they just keep getting underneath it, and it's just very, very hard to get rid of them. But you want to minimize the clutter. So I'm cleaning this area right here. I want to minimize areas where all the mice and the rats and the scorpions are going to live happily ever after. And then if they decide to go into my house, well, I want to make it complicated for them to get to my house. So I don't want them to be right next to my house, because that makes it easier for them to get in there. But surprisingly, a lot of those guys, they don't come in my house because it's a lot nicer out here for them to live. The scorpions, they have water out here. They have food. The roaches, the crickets, the same thing. Everybody loves it out here. The only time they actually come into my house is usually through the front door. At night, a lot of the bugs, they like to hang around the light, and then they come in here. The roaches are roaming around here, having a good time. And if somebody opens the door and a roach happens to be there, well, they're gonna go into your house. Another way for them to get into your house is gonna be holes that lead directly into your house. And most people don't realize this, but this right here, it's a weather strip. This weather strip is usually there to stop the air from getting inside your house. but also to stop critters from getting inside your house. So if you look all the way down here, you want your weather strip to go all the way down. You don't want any gaps in there, because when you close the door like this, there's gonna be a gap in there if your weather strip doesn't go all the way down, and bugs are gonna actually go in there, because especially the only times they're gonna go into your house is when winter is coming. It's warmer in your house, it's cold outside, and here in my area, there's not enough time for them to acclimate to the temperature changes, so they like to come into their house usually when winter is coming. So make sure your weather strips around your doors, windows, and all that, they're in good condition, and also the door sweep underneath here. There's a rubber thing underneath that rides along the threshold right here, and that prevents the air from coming in, coming out, but also the bugs. So that's going to be one way the bugs are going to get into your house. Another area bugs are going to get into your house, it's usually in my area, it's going to be through the stucco. Or if you live anywhere else in the United States, it's going to be through your siding or whatever exterior your house is made out of. But let me show you. So this is a stucco wall right here. But behind the stucco, there's going to be the sheeting. It's usually, plywood if you have a good house, but if you have a new house, they are made out of foam. But between that surface and the stucco, there's going to be a gap in there, okay? And that gap is there mainly for expansion and contraction. But underneath here, you see this right here? This is a metal screen. It's called a weep screen. And what it does, it's there to actually allow the water to come out in the event that the water actually gets behind the stucco. This is normal. It's meant to be there. But sometimes if there is a break in here, or if there's a hole in here, the bugs are going to get in there. And guess what? They're going to be inside your walls, and once they are inside your walls, they're going to get in your house, and then it's game over for you. So make sure you check around your house for any holes, any damage around your house, any areas where the bugs are going to get inside. But like I said earlier, it's nicer out here for them than it is to come inside my house. And usually I don't sit inside my house unless it's, when we're transitioning from fall into winter. For us here, it's a matter of weeks. For anybody else in the United States, you get a couple of months. So that way your critters out there, they get a chance to acclimate to the temperature changes. So it's not as drastic as it is in my area. Now let's talk about pests, which in my area, it's gonna be mainly rats. Mice, not so much. They are very easy to control, but rats are a different story. So let me show you a few ways to actually prevent them from coming into your house. And the main one is going to be trees, plants next to your house. So as you can see, this is my guava right here. And then the branches are overhanging close to my house, the roof mainly. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It is a bad thing because that gives the rats a ladder, a way to get on top of my roof. And once they are on the roof, well, it's a lot easier for them to get inside your house. A lot of houses have vents like this right here. And that allows the air, that hot air, well, for one, to come out of your attic and then fresh air to come in. But if you look inside, there's an actual metal mesh in there. So look around your house, make sure that the mesh is in good condition. There are no holes leading inside into your attic. There are wires in your attic, and they're gonna cause tons of damage because it's a very nice space in the attic for rats to actually, breed and make nests and make more rats. So how can you control the mice? Well, the mice is very easy to do. You can get mice traps. And you can just place them around your property, and that will take care of the mice because mice are not really that smart. The rats, on the other hand, are very hard to get rid of. So if you want to grow fruit trees, edibles, are you going to get rats? Are you going to get rats? Well, that depends on your area. My answer is most likely yes, especially if you are the only one in your area growing edibles, because you're going to be a target. You're going to be a nice area to hang out, and all the critters are going to come to your yard, and well, you're going to have to deal with them. So for me, I don't care about the scorpions. I don't care about the spiders. I don't care about anybody except the rats because I have issues with them. For one, they live inside my bamboo. So if you want to grow bamboo, it's very hard to get in the middle in there. So they make their nests in there, and then they come out at night. And then they like to go on my bananas. So when my bananas are fruiting and ripening, they like to eat them. So they eat all my fruits. And that is going to be the main problem I have with rats, is them eating my stuff. And it is very hard to actually get rid of them. At the beginning, I was like everybody else. I was dumb. I did not understand. And I was using poison, which I do not recommend anybody to do. I no longer use it because I believe it's a very cruel, inhumane way to kill anything out there. Even if it's your enemy, poison is one of the worst things you can do to an animal or a person, a living being in general. So I don't use it anymore. But I can tell you, at the beginning, poison didn't even work on rats. So they are very smart. If they see any of their relatives eat something and then die, they understand what happened. They understand what caused them to die, and then they tell everybody else around, and then the poison will not work anymore. You can use traps. It's the same story with traps. They see one of their friends, get trapped and die, and then guess what? They will tell everybody in the neighborhood, and then those traps will no longer work. So far, I haven't been able to find a reliable way to get rid of the rats. I even tried getting a BB gun and sniping them. And these things are so smart. At first, I was getting them, right? I was sniping them like Call of Duty, right? And then eventually, they stopped hanging out. They stopped coming out, and I didn't understand why. So they learned, the first thing they learned, I've noticed, was the sound of me reloading the BB gun. As soon as I reloaded it, they will just scatter, and they will not come back for hours. And then, after that, they learned my smell. So as soon as they smell me, they will just scatter, because my smell meant death. And rats are so smart. It's just unbelievable how smart they are. And then eventually, I just gave up. Now they just do whatever they want. They own the place, and then it's just the way it works here. But yeah, so rats are gonna be one of the pests that I just haven't been able to take care of. It's just a losing battle, and I've tried everything. There's a new thing that I'm gonna try. If you look at the picture on the screen, this is a trap that, I guess it has good reviews. So I'm gonna try it out and see how it works, and I'll keep you guys updated. But other than that, having bugs, having pests around your property, especially if you're gonna grow edibles, fruit trees, and stuff like that, it's just part of life. You have to understand they are part of the ecosystem, and everything in nature works together. And you have to just live with them. There are ways to minimize them coming into your house and your living areas and areas where you hang out. But to get rid of them completely, it's just not feasible. It's just not how it works in nature. Now, if you're gonna grow, a few vegetables, and maybe you're gonna have 1 or 2 fruit trees, is your yard gonna get infested? Are they just gonna swarm you and then take your life over? No, it's not. For me, I have a lot of trees, guys. I have water everywhere, I have food everywhere, I have shelter everywhere. So for me, it's gonna be a lot worse than it is for you. But I can tell you, if you do not like insects, gardening is not for you. I'll be honest with you, and that's exactly what I tell all my customers who come to my property. They always try to get me to tell them something they want me to say to them. Because people like to be told what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. So I always tell them, you're gonna get ants, you're gonna get crickets, you're gonna get roaches. It's just part of life. Can you minimize it? Yes, you can. Don't use mulch, and don't, if the fruit's falling on the ground, pick it up. Don't let it sit on the ground, because that's gonna entice everybody to come in there and eat it. Things like that you can do to minimize, critters in your yard, but to get rid of them completely, it's just not gonna work. And I do not recommend you to use chemicals. I don't care what chemicals say. Some of them are supposed to be safe to use in the ground on fruit trees, but I can tell you, your fruits, your plants, take up those chemicals and then put it back into your fruits, the stuff that you eat. So if you're okay with adding chemicals, that's on you, but for me, I try not to use it. And that is the truth about growing, edibles and fruit trees and dealing with critters. It's just how it works. I'll be honest with you, they don't bother me. I'm out here, the scorpions don't sting me, the bees don't sting me, nobody bothers me. Usually when I go into an area, they just leave, and then I do my thing, and then they come back. The rats, as soon as they see me, they go away, and then when I'm done with that area, they come back. So the only issues that I have, like I said, is them eating my fruits. And definitely, I do not want them in my attic, because they will destroy everything, or inside my walls. Oh, that'll be terrible. But hopefully this opens your eyes, especially if you want to go into the fruit forest, or you want to be self-sufficient and just grow your own food. It's just deal with it. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment below. If you haven't liked the video, what are you waiting for? And as always, I will see you next time.